Hi, my name is Regina, and I'm sharing with you from the teachings of Inner Ramana. I'm reading from the first message, which is called the Commentary on Mind, and I'm going to read the second part of the message. If you have the teachings of Inner Ramana, you can look on page 3, and we're going to begin with the third paragraph. Stepping away from the mind is as simple as losing interest in it. When the mind chatters, it chatters because you are listening. As you lose interest in what it has to say, because you know its answers are not your answers, the chattering of mind shall fade away. Last time, when we looked at the first part of the Commentary on Mind, we saw that when we pay attention to the mind, we can see that the mind isn't really making sense. Also, if you pay attention to your emotional reaction to what the mind is saying, you'll notice that the emotions that you are feeling are not necessarily emotions you want to feel. Fear, worry, stress, anger, hatred, these are just a few examples of the emotions we feel as we listen to the chattering of mind. Inner Ramana is saying the best way to feel free is to lose interest in the mind's stories. And as we go through the teachings of Inner Ramana, we're going to learn how to lose interest in the mind. He's going to give us tools that will help us lose interest in the mind's stories so that we can know our own freedom. Freedom from mind. However, starting with the fourth paragraph in Commentary on Mind, mind cannot be ignored entirely. Mind is like a tool that must be used if one is to experience this world in any way. Mind is the tool of perception. Perception can only be experienced through mind, but this is not the same as saying that mind controls perception, or that one must listen to the chattering or problems and solutions of mind. So what Inner Ramana is saying is that we're not going to throw mind away entirely, because mind allows us to experience this world. It's just that we're going to learn not to take mind so seriously. We're going to learn not to believe mind. In fact, let me continue with Inner Ramana's words. At the top of page 4. Think of mind as a filter. This filter enables one to see objects where there is light. This filter enables one to distinguish differences where there are none. It enables one to communicate using symbols that represent something else. Without the mind, one would be unable to experience the world. But this does not mean that one must be subject to the mind. I'm going to continue on with the next paragraph. Listen carefully. The mind, when believed and taken seriously, seems to define reality. But as I have just shown, the mind does not define reality. It places a veil of perception over reality, so reality can be experienced in a new way. What Inner Ramana is saying is that mind is a type of creation that allows us to experience perception, but perception itself is not real. In other words, I am not this body. I am not this personality. You are not that body. You are not that personality. What we are is something else, something beyond the body, beyond the personality, and beyond the world. You might liken it to when we were children and we played games. You know, we could take on the role of mother when playing house. We could take on the role of soldier when playing war. We could take on the role of secret agent. And it was really fun to take on these roles, and we couldn't have played the game if we hadn't taken on the roles. Well, we can't play this game of the world. We can't experience all of the experiences that the world has to offer if we don't take on these roles of being personalities and separate individuals. However, as a child, we knew we really weren't the secret agent, the mother, or the soldier. That's why we didn't suffer in our games. The problem is, in the world, we have forgotten that we really aren't this body or this personality. We take it very, very seriously, and that's why we suffer. If we can remember our truth and remember that these bodies, this personalities, this world, that these are just games, then we can have the experience of perception without suffering. I'm going to begin again on page 4, the second paragraph. The mind, when believed and taken seriously, seems to define reality. But as I have just shown, the mind does not define reality. It places a veil of perception over reality, so reality can be experienced in a new way. This means that the mind is a trickster or illusionist, and that which it creates is purely illusion. To believe the mind is to believe illusion. To think illusion is reality is to become completely deluded. And then Inner Ramana says, again I emphasize that belief in illusion, or the process of being deluded, comes from believing the mind. When we believe the mind's stories, when we believe the mind's interpretation of the world, when we believe the mind's definition of who I am, we have forgotten reality, and we're believing a game. We're believing an illusion, and this is why we suffer. And Ramana says, this must mean, then, that the process of awakening is also the process of learning not to believe the stories of the mind. As a filter, the mind can be used to see and experience illusion without believing it. This is just like as children, our imagination could be used to experience the game of secret agent or war without believing it. That's what makes it enjoyable. As a filter, the mind can be used to see and experience illusion without believing it. This experience comes from maintaining knowledge that is beyond the mind. It can also be said that this knowledge is before the mind. This knowledge exists now within the self, at a depth that is below and at a height that is above the mind. In other words, the knowledge is always accessible, and it takes only desire to remember and realize this knowledge. The teachings of Inner Ramana shares with us practices that help us remember this knowledge of who we are. That's it for today. Thank you. Bye.